So hi there, I actually need your help with something. Which flowers should I pick? Do I go with white or do I go with these colorful ones? Tough choice, right? I think you know where I'm going with this. Today's title is On Self-Comparison. We are going to be talking about all the ways we have been comparing ourselves to others and how to stop that. So my name is Eglah and this is a safe space for positivity and growth. Let's get into the video. And we're back. So I use the analogy of flowers to actually show you how we might compare ourselves to others. Now, of course, it's not the same as that, but I wanted to show you that because I have this which is white and I have this which has really colorful flowers. And sometimes we often compare ourselves to others and we are all the prize here. You're a flower, they're a flower. It's just that you all have different abilities, you have different paths, and you comparing yourself to another flower, you're all beautiful, you definitely have different and beautiful potentials, but there's no way I'm just going to discredit this stylish, elegant, and simple white flower just because I have this beautiful, colorful, and vibrant flowers. It means that they can both correlate. Of course, I am not someone who has, some experience with decor, but I do believe that if we had much of this white, we could just embrace this and combine this two. And it comes a long way with who we are as people. We don't need to compare ourselves to others and feel the need to say that this one is better than the other, because we can correlate and there's so much potential that you have. You really do not have to compare yourself to another. So I am going to be showing you how you can step away from that mentality of comparing yourself to others. But first we need to understand the root cause, like why are you comparing yourself to another person? So let's do that. Number one, it's need for validation and belonging. I know I did talk about self-validation in one of my videos. It was actually my first video on YouTube. And I talked about why you need to self-validate and not seek it from others. And the thing with that is that when you seek validation from others, you are going to compare yourself because you will want them to see you in a certain way. You're going to compare yourself with so many other people and feel inferior to them. And that's not the goal that we want. That's not how we should live our lives, and that's not how we intend to. Number two is social comparison theory. Now, this was actually established by a psychologist where he found out that we as humans have this natural tendency, like it is in our nature, to compare ourselves and evaluate ourselves. Like we're evaluating ourselves, checking our environment, we're checking out what is this other person doing. This person is probably in my same field, like we're in the same field, we're doing the same things, we're probably in the same career. And so I am going to find a way to evaluate myself and compare myself, my worth, in terms of how I see this other person. And we end up doing this in terms of our abilities, opinions, and the possessions of ourselves and others. And I hope you see where I'm going along with this. Sometimes we actually evaluate where we are in life and try to compare it with our peers. And we end up trying to evaluate our self-worth through that and trying to understand where do we actually stand in society. In the video where I talked about being envious and jealous about other people and their achievements, I did mention this one thing where I said that if you do not have high self-esteem and regard for yourself, you're going to end up feeling inferior to others. And that's something that we truly want to avoid. Now, in the state where you feel like you want to compare yourself, your achievements, your opinions, your abilities to other people, it can end up going in a really long route because you can have these feelings where you feel like, okay, we have done the same things, but why does it feel like this person is actually doing better than me? But the thing is, kindly just focus on your own race. You cannot compare your chapter to another person's chapter. Your chapter 1 could be someone's chapter 102, and you feel like you're really not at par with someone, and that is because they have done some things that you have absolutely no idea about. I talked about this in the other video where I talked about you just seeing the tip of the iceberg, and it is true. Sometimes we can try to equate our self-worth with the things that we have accomplished, but it turns out that the person you're comparing yourself to has done so much behind the scenes that you have no idea about. And so sometimes it is necessary to not compare yourself to others because you have no idea what they have done already. And so by you comparing yourself, of course, you're putting yourself in a position that isn't going to help you in the long run, because you're going to be comparing things that are actually not in equal measure. You did not start that same race at the same time. They probably got started on their career before you. They probably did some steps that you didn't. And so by you comparing yourself, you're actually comparing yourself to a losing race, because that isn't necessary. On the next point on why you might feel the necessity to actually compare yourself is because you want to gauge where you are in life. Now, this isn't a really nice way of comparing, because you might say that you feel inferior to other people or you feel superior to other people. There's actually just two ways of it. Now, like I said, we compare ourselves because we want to understand where are we at life. Now, it could be that when you're comparing yourself to some people, let's just say your peers again, you feel the need to justify this and say that compared to this other person, I am not as financially free as them. And so if I just scale it, they are probably ahead of me. But what about this other colleague that I have in mind? I feel like I'm earning more than them. So it means that when I compare myself to them, I'm actually higher. And so it means that at the top of the pyramid, this other friend is at the top, I'm the second, and this other person is the third one. Now, the thing that will cause is you're either going to feel inferior to this person and feel very intimidated, and then end up discriminating this other person and feeling like you're really better than them. And if they were to actually rise up and get to a better position, you are going to put yourself in misery. And this is because this shouldn't be a competition of who has accomplished this, and that. Because there is a way you can correlate. Like I did with the flowers, you don't need to actually say which one is better than the other, because they are both beautiful and unique in their own ways. They can both be used for different events. If someone wanted something simple, elegant, and just cute, they'd go for something that's just plain, and that's the white flowers. If someone wanted something that screams pizzazz, something that screams vibrancy, they would have gone for the other flowers. And so that just means that there is no need for comparison, because they are equally beautiful and unique. The final reason that I'll give today as to why you'd be comparing yourself is because you are stuck. It could be you are stuck at a particular point in your life when it comes to your goals, your achievements, and your ambitions, and you feel like you're being slowed down. You feel like you're really not going forward with where you are. You can eventually start comparing yourself to other people's journeys, and that's not how it should be. You should find a way to motivate yourself instead of actually comparing, because there's no need for that. I keep telling you that you cannot compare, because your journey is so much different from theirs, and probably you can actually get ahead like them in a few months because of the kind of steps that you need to take. You probably just have to understand that everyone's timing is different. You need to work with your timing. Don't look at another person's timing, because that's really going to mess you up. And I do say this because there are some things you probably need to learn before you get to a particular point. Let's say you want to start a business. If you eventually blow up within the first week of you starting your business, probably for the person you're comparing yourself with, they got and started a business, and within the first week they were blowing up. They started earning so much money, and your business started probably like a month before theirs, and in the long run you feel like theirs is doing so much better, and you end up just saying that, oh, I'm probably not a good business owner, they're better than me, how could they have gotten so far and it took me so much time? Again, it's timing. You probably needed to go through some stuff before your business could blow up like theirs. They probably had some skills. Maybe if you actually blew up like they did, you would get to a high point, and then there's some things you wouldn't be able to handle and your business would come crumbling down. And that is why everyone's story is different. Someone can start something and blow up instantly, and someone can take much time. But that doesn't mean that this one who's taking much time isn't as good as this other person. It just means that their timing is different, and they need to be able to own it. They need to be able to love their journey and appreciate it in any way possible. I really hope you understand these things that I've been able to tell you as to why you probably are comparing yourself, and then we go on to how to solve this and stop comparing yourself to others. Number one is identifying your triggers. You need to understand, how often am I comparing myself? when am I comparing myself? Am I comparing myself more when I am using social media? Am I comparing myself more when I'm talking to other people about our goals and ambitions? You identifying your triggers is going to go a long way, because you're going to be able to understand how to deal with it. You're going to be able to understand when it frequently happens and how you can solve that. If you're frequently comparing yourself when it comes to academia, you'll understand that, okay, I feel threatened when my colleague does better than me. Okay, so how can I solve this? I can try to distance myself and just be grateful for what I have and probably work even harder, but I'm not going to be looking at their grades when I'm working harder. I'm going to be looking at my grades and seeing that last semester I did this. How can I better my performance? And you're just looking exclusively on your work. You need to appreciate yourself and everything that you have accomplished. Without that, you are always going to be hanging around looking at other people. You're always going to be like this. Okay, what are you doing? What has she done? Okay, no. You're never going to concentrate on your own self because you don't see the worth about what you've done. You will never appreciate yourself or credit yourself for anything that you've done that's nice. And that's not how you should be living life. You should be so proud of everything that you've done. You should be so proud of that little thing that you have, because that's yours. And by you just checking out what other people have done and just feeling bad about it, no. Be happy for what you have, because that's yours and you're going to be able to nurture it. You're not going to be able to nurture someone else's dream or their ability, but just focus on yours, because that's the one that you can be able to nurture. Number 3 is learn to compare yourself to yourself only. I don't know if I'm actually repeating myself there, but when you're comparing, compare your journey to probably the you that was there 6 months ago, 1 month ago. You're looking at your own journey and how you have been tackling life, and not necessarily looking at another person's journey, how they've done it. You're just looking at yourself. You're comparing yourself to, okay, how was I a month ago? Was I actually better at this? How can I improve my journey? So you're just comparing your own journey according to the time frame that you have established. Number 4, focus on your strengths and acknowledge them. When you're comparing, sometimes you tend to actually look at what other people have done, and you probably don't even love what they're doing. You don't actually have the passion or the ability for that. So focus on your own strengths. How can you uplift yourself? If your ability and your talent comes through business management, administration, do that. It's going to be different from someone else who is doing probably makeup, because your skills and your abilities are quite different, and by you comparing yourself to them, are you really doing justice for yourself? You see that? So focus on your own strengths and actually sharpen your skills so that you're able to compare your journey on your own through the time that you have been doing your stuff. Number 5 is limit your social media exposure. Exactly. Sometimes we tend to go heavy on our self-comparison journey because of the things we're seeing online. You're seeing that someone has bought their first car at 18, and you're saying, at 18, what was I actually doing? I wasn't doing something great. And you end up feeling like a failure. You're not really a failure. You have tons of tasks that you want to do. You probably want to get done with your undergraduate degree so that you can actually do something else, probably start a business. And you seeing someone else buying a car has no relevance to your story, because you buying a car probably wasn't even in the picture right now. You do want to buy a car, but it's not realistic to do it right now according to the plan that you have. And so do limit that, because sometimes we might overanalyze the things that we see online and compare ourselves. So on the point where I talked about identifying your triggers, if social media is one of your triggers, just tread lightly on it. Like, don't analyze everything, don't overanalyze things, and just limit how much you're scrolling and how much you're actually looking into people's lives. That way you'll just concentrate on your own thing. So we're actually done with that. I've talked about why we compare and how to deal with it, but I can definitely tell you that comparison can also be beneficial to you if you use it in the right way. By you comparing yourself, don't necessarily discredit what you've done or feel like you're superior to others just because you've accomplished many things than they have. When you're comparing, I would say the better kind of comparison is the comparison that comes from within, where you analyze your own journey, because Everyone is unique. So if Unique Eglah is looking at Unique Anne and I'm checking how Unique Anne is doing, I cannot compare my journey to Unique Anne, because Unique Anne also has her own journey and Unique Eglah has to do her own stuff in her own journey and according to her own timeline. So I do hope that this video was helpful. In case you found it to be helpful and you liked it, kindly like this video, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you on the next video. Bye.